Ex-girlfriend hated me and started to take revenge. Breaking up seems like a simple step towards freedom, towards a new life, but in reality it turns into a miniseries with intrigue and a restless, pinching sense of jealousy. There comes a time when old love turns to real hatred, and it is often that which drives us to act. Rage and resentment sets in, making us forget what once bound us together. Instead of letting go, some people hold on to their pain, turning it into violent outbursts and hostile behaviors. You know, sometimes there comes a point when you see an important part of your life begin to crumble before your eyes. And the consequences of that change can be much more unexpected than you could have imagined. I was in the middle of a real drama after my breakup with Jessica, but I didn't expect it to happen so quickly and with such consequences. Jessica and I dated for almost 3 years. Honestly, they were some of the happiest times of my life. She was incredibly bright and smart, always supportive of me. She was fun to be with. I felt like I had found my person. We had common interests. We loved to go hiking, visit exhibitions, or just have movie nights with pizza. I remember us laughing at each other's silly jokes and dreaming about the future. It seemed like the best thing that could have happened to me. But, as happens in many relationships, something changed over time. The unity we felt in the beginning slowly began to fade. We began to notice that our priorities and interests had diverged. Arguments started over little things. She wanted to spend more time with friends, and I wanted to focus on shared hobbies, which were becoming fewer and fewer. These little things started to pile up, and soon we realized that we were no longer the harmonious couple we used to be. As a result, we began to feel uncomfortable. Eventually, it became obvious to both of us that it was worth breaking up. I tried to do it carefully, without too much emotion. I realized that we both deserved happiness, even if it was without each other. As we discussed it, I sincerely tried to explain to Jessica that our breakup was not the end, but rather a new chapter in each of our lives. She listened to me, and although I saw sadness in her eyes, she agreed. We decided to part as friends, on a good note, without mutual recriminations and unnecessary accusations. However, a little while after our conversation, things didn't go the way I thought they would. I expected us to leave each other in the past and move on, but things turned out to be something completely different. Jessica, as it turned out, wasn't taking the breakup as peacefully as I thought she would. She seemed confident in the beginning, but afterward I noticed a change in her. The following weeks proved to be a real challenge for me. I noticed that Jessica became more active on her social media, but with a completely different purpose. She started posting posts where she mentioned our breakup, making me look negative. In her stories, I turned into a former unreliable partner who didn't appreciate a wonderful woman. It was not only unpleasant, but also unexpected. I couldn't understand where such thoughts were coming from and, frankly, how such a thing was even possible if we had parted peacefully. After our breakup, Jessica and I didn't communicate for a while. I hoped that we could continue our lives in parallel without interfering in each other's fate. No doubt, it was a little sad at first, but I somehow convinced myself that it was the right step for both of us. But then one day I got a message from her. She needed help. It seemed that at that very moment she had re-entered my life, but now much more forcefully, which surprised and alarmed me at the same time. I remember arriving at her place, and literally from the first minutes she began to behave too freely. It was as if the connection that we once had never stopped. Everything happened too fast, and then I finally realized that we were not going to be able to act mature and reasonable. I had a lot of questions that I didn't know the answers to. At first I thought she just wanted to repair our relationship, or at least talk about the past, but then something more shocking came to light. I soon learned that she had a new boyfriend a long time ago, and she needed my help to get back at him by cheating on me. That news stopped me. I felt all our memories of mutual feelings and trust collapsed like a house of cards in an instant. In that second, all doubts about the rightness of our breakup were dispelled. I realized that we had really made the right decision by breaking up. Time passed, and about 6 months after our breakup, I found out that Jessica had married the same guy. That was something of a final point in the story for me, and I went back to my normal life. I myself was freed from unnecessary worries, clearly realizing that we no longer had anything in common. What was intriguing was that although Jessica had blocked me on all social media, her attitude towards my relatives remained completely different. Our families overlapped, as we had spent more than 1 year together, and many of my loved ones knew her quite well. On her wedding day, she sent out a photo of her in her wedding dress to everyone. This was especially odd considering she had not kept in touch with any of them by that point. On the one hand, there was a kind of defiance in her action, as if she wanted to convey to everyone that despite everything in between, her life had moved on and she didn't care about her past. On the other hand, it was a move for her own sake, to shield her new life from the memories of the past. I saw it as a manifestation of her inner struggle, but at the same time she was trying to look confident. However, all of this only confirmed that our breakup was ultimately necessary. We both took different roads that led us to new life stages. I found the strength to leave everything behind, while she seemed to have to make a choice that led her to her own understanding of happiness. We were each given a chance to go our separate ways, even if it meant that our paths would never cross again. It had been 3 years since Jessica and I had broken up. I had already managed to build a new relationship, and it seemed like everything should be fine. But, as is often the case, an old chapter had yet to close. My ex started stalking my new girlfriend on social media. My guess is that she probably kept an eye on my Instagram follower count, saw the new girl, and subscribed to her. But that was just the beginning. Jessica went beyond just subscribing. She started actively responding to my girlfriend's stories, and her comments were far from positive. My girlfriend and I agreed that we would not react to her antics and tried to just ignore it. However, it was impossible to ignore it. One day we happened to meet Jessica in town. She approached us with such insistence, as if we were best friends. At first things seemed pretty peaceful, but soon the conversation became a bit intrusive. Jessica was actively calling my girlfriend by her first name, talking endlessly about her successes, as if she wanted to show that she was doing great and we weren't. I could feel the tension building, and to be honest, I was a little uncomfortable. However, we decided that we would keep our cool and try to avoid conflict. A few weeks went by and Jessica sent me a text message. It was full of hate and insults towards us. I was shocked. Was a grown man really capable of stooping so low? It wasn't just strange, it seemed pathological. Then came the real provocations. Jessica decided to continue her attacks, but with redoubled energy. She began to regularly write to my girlfriend on social networks, leaving comments and messages that caused irritation and bewilderment. But it didn't end there. With the same persistence, she started sending messages to my loved ones, telling them about her personal problems, hinting at how sad she was without me, and how painful it was to see that I was with someone else. The real craziness started when Jessica started calling me from an unknown number. It turned into a real nightmare. I tried to ignore these calls, but one day curiosity took over. During the call, she tried to explain her behavior. When I asked her why she was doing all this, she didn't seem to realize the ridiculousness of what was happening and said it was just emotions that were overwhelming her. Moreover, she even promised to apologize to my girlfriend, assuring her that it was all done out of emotion and didn't matter. But in the end, she never apologized. Funny, isn't it? She really did have problems in her life, but instead of dealing with them, she tried to take it out on me and my loved ones. It probably hurt her to see me happy in my new relationship. Her actions made me feel uncomfortable, but I tried to stay calm. I was in love with my new girlfriend, and her support had become an integral part of my life. I explained to her that it was all just a manifestation of the jealousy and frustration that was building up in Jessica, and that we shouldn't pay attention to it. We strived to enjoy every moment together, despite her sarcastic remarks. As time went on, I began to realize that sooner or later this storm had to settle. Realizing that I wasn't giving in to her provocations, Jessica gradually withdrew from our common surroundings and eventually found new interests. I hope she will realize that it is not worth wasting energy on hatred and revenge, because there are so many beautiful things in life that deserve attention and care.